be here. Back in 2002, I worked with a world champion freediver, and I managed to get my breath hold up to over 7 minutes. Now, to give you an idea of that, it's a bit like going from Sydney to London and back as a feeling, right? It was a long time. Now, what it did was it attracted some big wave surfers, guys that were surfing tremendously big waves with huge consequence. And they wanted me to help them with their fears, their wipeouts, and their hold downs. Now, they described a wipeout a little bit like being in a car wreck at 60 kilometers an hour and then having a pit bull trying to rip your limbs off. A little bit erratic, a little bit crazy, but they love it. So I developed my breath enhancement training program to help them feel a deep level of calmness and presence above and under the water, simulating crazy wipeouts that they go through, and a mental training program that accompanies that. Now, this program attracted some professional surfers from the World Tour, people like Mick Fanning and Steph Gilmore, and what it really helped them with, apart from surfing bigger waves, was to regulate their mind and body during high-pressure competition moments. Now, fast forward 2011, 3rd of October, a pivotal moment in my career. I received an email from Mick Fanning wanting me to continue with the breath training, but to be a strength and conditioning coach and help him as well with his mind. His goal, a 3rd world title. Now, I had no idea the journey this would take us on, but I was 100% in, and I said yes. So it's day one. He's walking down my driveway. He's burnt out. He's been in the world ring. He's basically a world title contender. And now when I have him on my driveway, he's number 12 in the world. He's got 2 back conditions that constantly give him niggles. And he's burnt out from being on the world tour, away from home for 9 months of the year. Not only that, he's 7 kilograms overweight. Now, to give you an idea of 7 kilos on a 75 kilogram pro athlete, when surfing, it's a bit like surfing with a bar fridge on your back. And it could mean that he's off the world tour. Food had become a comfort. And for maybe some of us in the audience, he had a particular passion for chocolate. Now, to his credit, he managed to recognize if he didn't want to lose his identity and his purpose, like so many elite athletes do, he was going to have to change some habits. So we started with some simple assessments, one of which was simply standing on one leg with your eyes shut, and the 2-time world champion could barely last 6 seconds. Now, a 60 to 69-year-old male should be able to do that. Let's give it a go. Come on, everyone stand up for me, please. Let's just have a crack. Let's see if we can beat that time. What I'm going to get you to do is stand on one leg, make sure it's off the ground, about 90 degrees. You can have your eyes shut. I'm going to count down 10, 9, 8. Let's see how we go. Here we go. You ready? One leg up, one leg up. Time starts now. Eyes shut. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, legs down. Perfect. Have a seat. How many of you got 10 seconds? Hands up, 10 seconds. All right, you're better than the 2-time world champion. Well done on that one. Awesome. How many of you didn't quite get to 6? All right, you're the same. Give yourselves a round of applause. That's pretty good. Equaling or better than a 2-time world champion. So Mick had this amazing ability to sacrifice something of significance for a worthy goal. And one year it was alcohol. Now, considering this guy went on to start up a very successful brewery, if that isn't 100% commitment, I don't know what is. That's probably why he started a brewery. To end of 2012, from being burnt out, he's now number 3 in the world. 2013 is where it gets real interesting. We get to the end of the year. He's in world title contention. It's in Hawaii. And he's got to win the quarterfinals to win the world title. He scrapes through round 5. He gets into the quarters. Now, it's a 35-minute heat. He's more than 33 minutes into the heat. And he needs a 9.57 out of 10. And there's a minute 37 to go. Now, that's pressure. There's a wave coming. And he's scratching for it. And we're going, oh, here we go. Is he going to get the score? We've put so much effort into this. Is he going to make it? Holding our breath on the beach. Here's the outcome. Now, the true measure of our work came to life two years later, 2015, the hardest year in Mick's life to date. At the beginning of the year, unfortunately, he separates from his wife. Midway through the year, we all know he had a close encounter with a great white shark. Now, you can have a look at this photo. He's actually been picking his teeth, right? The shark's about to probably pick him out and then have to pick him out of his teeth. Then it hits the board. Then he realizes it's a shark. And then he can't believe how lucky he was. But now talk about resilience. So he bounces back. End of the year, he's back in world title contention, along with 4 other surfers. Now he's going to take heat by heat because all of them are going for the world title. He gets through the first 2 heats. He paddles out in the 3rd heat. Now, in my mind, he's already a champ. That morning, knock on his door. It's his mum, Liz. She's crying. Unfortunately, his eldest brother, her eldest son, Peter, had passed away in his sleep overnight. Now, even with this in mind, Mick still followed his practices, his process, and he still competed. It's what Peter would have wanted. In the face of such adversity, Mick's commitment to years of all forms of training really shone through. Now, here he is on the beach before he paddled out, practicing his breath work. To become more present, to get into the moment for what matters now. Now, he went on and he won that 3rd heat. He won the 4th heat. He got into the quarterfinals against 11-time world champion Kelly Slater. And he won that heat too. Great leaders are often born through the challenging experiences that they go through and how they come out the other side. Now, Mick has managed to literally navigate the ups and the downs. And to be brutally honest, after his first 2 titles, he wasn't someone that you really want to be around. He didn't talk much and he was really closed off. His focus was on the world titles. They're competitive beasts when they're after these experiences. Now that day, he didn't come away with a trophy. He lost in the semi-final, but what he won that day was way bigger than any trophy. He won in life. And through these winnings and these challenging experiences that he's been through, he started to develop this amazing presence. He became more transparent. He became more open, more talkative, and he could give you more time because he realized how precious time is. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 practices that individuals and teams are using to not only develop better leaders in the craft that they're in, but leaders on a broader scale, human beings on a world stage that have a special presence. Now, I'd like to share the first practice, which is just to practice breathwork. And you're thinking, hang on, I'm not going for a world title. Why should I practice breathwork? Well, the benefits are endless. Breathing more effectively, you'll definitely have a greater level of presence in any situation. It'll allow you to make better decisions when you're challenged. You'll be able to cope way better with the day-to-day challenges that your brain and body go through. In a broader sense, you'll have a healthier body, mind, and therefore be able to find more calmness amongst the chaos. It's better for you and it's better for those around you. Now, I could go on and give you a whole heap of science around this, but I'm going to cut to the chase. When we breathe well and we draw the air low into our lungs compared to breathing shallow and erratic, the amount of oxygen going into your bloodstream is about 15 times more. Not only that, but as you can see on the screen, there's a very big muscle under your heart. It's called your diaphragm. It's attached to what's called the pericardium in which the heart sits. And as that muscle contracts, it pulls down on the heart, pulling blood into the area. When it relaxes as you breathe out, it pushes up and helps push blood out of the area. It's the best assistant manager you could ever imagine. Increasing arterial oxygenation by about 50%. Not only that, but it starts to send a signal. The heart starts to send a signal due to that good breathing up to the brain via those yellow lines called the vagus nerve. that are literally going, we're good down here. You just keep going on. And tending you into a state of calmness. Or if you're breathing shallow and erratic, it's like, we are screwed. What are you doing? Sending you into a state of stress. Now, here's an example of me on the telephone, not a good phone call, and my heartbeat is incredibly erratic. Now, that signal is like, hey, Nam, what the hell are you doing? Can you just take a breath for a moment? As soon as I practice my breath work, my heartbeat changes. And this could be you too. You can practice very simply. This is how it looks when you breathe effectively. Your heart beats well. And the message going upstairs is just keep going. Just make that decision. You're good. We've got your back. And don't forget to get the milk and the bread on the way home. It's unbelievable how it helps us. So what I'd like you to do is to just join in with me, a little practice, right? Really simple. Now, breathing requires one thing in particular. Well, there's many, but we'll go to one, posture. Let's just see some shuffling in seats now. All I want you to do is to sit up. Imagine that you've got a piece of cotton pulling you up from the top of your head. And then, I don't want to scare you or anything, but when we breathe in, we should have an expansion through here. So as I take a breath in, have a look at my hand. So that's my diaphragm contracting and pulling air low into my lungs. Now, you may not get that effect, but with practice, it may change. Can I just get you to put your hands under your ribcage for a moment? And then there's another piece to this. The in-breath, feel the coolness of the air coming through your nose and soften your six-pack. I've seen you. I know you've got one. Can you just relax them? Soften your six-pack so that you can get that muscle to take a breath in for you. So focus on your nose. Draw the air in gently, smoothly. And then when you breathe out, really soften your shoulders and your chest gently away from your ears. And now you're adding another signal to your brain and body to calm down. Stress is contraction, non-stress is relaxation. So when we breathe in, we control that breath. Take your time. When you breathe out, you soften around it. And now we've got this presence in the room that's going into a state of calmness. I'm going to change that real soon, but it's quite a beautiful feeling. It's the easiest way to become present is to follow your breath with your mind. So you don't have to be a world champion or an expert in breathing to do this, but you must practice consistently if you want it to be a calming influence for you. And therefore find calmness amongst the chaos and be of greater assistance to those around you. Now, not only does it allow you to develop a greater level of presence in any situation, but it also supports our next that leadership presence practice that we're all after, which is to develop self-regulation. Now, again, I can go through a ton of science. I'm going to go straight to the point here. Self-regulation, especially in leadership, is the ability to switch on, step into your best, bring that energy, and then your ability to calm down. Now, most scouts in the top sporting arenas are actually looking for the people that can bounce back quickly from challenge and feedback that may not be that kind. Can they bounce back? And now it's becoming a very, very common theme in leadership. Can we employ people that can take feedback? Do they have the capacity to self-regulate themselves, take that feedback, and then bounce back? Now, the best way to teach this is to feel this. So I'd love you to participate in this little activity. I'm going to just tell you what we're going to do. We're going to finish the 100 meters, the last 10 meters of it. We're going to go for it. We're going to sprint on the spot for 5 seconds, right? That's it. We're going to sprint and you go, oh, God. All the introverts go, no, it's okay. I'll help you regulate away from that. You're going to sprint on the spot for 5 seconds. Then we're going to celebrate when we finish. Now, the person next to you will probably be crying because they've lost. It's okay. You're a champion. You don't worry about them. But I want us to see if we can lift the roof off the building. And then I'm going to coach you in regulating yourself back into a calm state. Have we got, is everyone in? Yeah, come on. You're in. All right, everyone, just stand up for a moment. This will take literally 5 seconds. Come on. Let's do it. Nice and smooth. When you breathe out, pay attention to your jaw, your chest, your shoulders, and soften them away from your ears. But see if you can keep your mind's attention on that in-breath and that out-breath. Coolness of the air coming in, relaxation on the way out. Now, see if you can now be aware of your feet. And be where your feet are. Be present, be here, now. Oh, beautiful. What a feeling. Just a shift from high down to calm. Now, here's another elite athlete that I work with, Jess. Now, this is a high-pressure moment, and you can see she's in the zone where she's about to go through and win another world title. Jess is the most successful individual slalom canoeist in the history of her sport ever. 2-time Olympic medalist, 7-time world champion. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the sport, as you can see, Jess is sitting in a deck canoe. It's a little bit like sitting on a football, going down a series of rapids where she can't hit or miss these gates. If she does, then she can incur a 2 to 50-second penalty. The objective, get down that series of rapids in the fastest time possible. Now you can see the precision. She has to be on time. She has to be able to self-regulate, just like we all do. She came to me as a 3-time world champion. And you're probably thinking, how? She should be able to really self-regulate. Well, what she discovered was this. The more successful she became, the more pressure she had on herself to win. And expectation grew. And self-regulation started to decrease. And you may find the same thing in your industry and your work, where you may have achieved something or are trying to achieve something, and pressure and expectation that comes with that can really challenge your ability to self-regulate, whether that's at work or at home. In Jess's words, when she went to compete, her mind was like a drunken monkey, just veering on off everywhere. She couldn't stay present in the moment. And she felt a high level of anxiety coming into her experience. So how did we sober up the drunken monkey? 2 Baroccas. I'm kidding. We practiced being in the moment, being present, and practicing refocusing. Everyone's good at focusing, but usually it's off in different areas where it shouldn't be. And with that practice, she became very familiar with her ideal state of performance. In training, she controlled the controllables, became very familiar with going from chaos to calmness. Now, it wasn't about being perfect. It never should be. It was about self-regulating too much of stuff. Too much anxiety, bring it back a bit. Too much energy, bring it back a bit. Too calm, bring it up a bit. And therefore, she lowered the weight of expectation and she could perform at her best. Now, where do you feel pressure from? How do you respond? Do you find that you're able to handle it and you can step up and follow through with your tasks, etc.? Or do you find it becomes compromising? The weight of expectation just feels like a weight on your shoulders and unfavorable traits rise. Here's some examples of poor self-regulation. Now, if we go to the bottom one, how many of you have had a couple of coffees before lunch? How many of you had 11? And how many of you want chocolate right now? And there's nothing wrong with them. They're a bean. But we need to learn to regulate the quantity. And what would it mean to your level of presence if you could change a couple of these to a couple of these? Especially to those around you. Now, Jess's dedication to these practices saw her go on to win 4 more world titles. The most decorated athlete in her sport ever. It required really good focus. So, success in anything requires deep focus. Therefore, the role of intention is to focus our attention on what matters most. And that leads me to my last leadership presence practice for you, which is to set a clear intention. Now, I want to share with you the power of this from a very inspiring woman that has an absolute sunny presence. She's an absolute joy to be around. None other than 7-time world surfing champion Steph Gilmore. Now, Steph will tell you the first few titles were relatively easy to a last few. The last one was the hardest yet. All year she's battling it out against her arch rival, Lakey Peterson. Gets to the end of the year in Hawaii, whoever gets the furthest in that event wins the trophy. Now usually Steph would fly in a week early, get her boards dialed in, get her mind dialed in, get into the zone. This year, totally different. She's based in LA. During the time the bushfires were rampant, 88 people unfortunately died. 6,700 homes and businesses destroyed. One of those homes Steph was living in. She literally had an hour to run in, grab what she could, and get the hell out of there. She grabbed her surfboards, her computer, and her guitar. Now she's on her way to Hawaii, she's rattled, she's traumatized. We had to do something super fast to get her focus back, get on task. So I asked her, what do you really want? What is your intention? And then this question, who do you need to be to let go of last week? Now, with that set, we went through the process. Okay, what are the actions we'll take each day to make sure that you're in the right mental and physical state to take on the day? When you lose focus, let's see if we can bring it back just like we do in training. So she's walking down some stairs to paddle out for the first heat. She gets to the bottom. She goes to put a leg rope on. Tries to come back up. Her back locks up. And she's thinking, you've got to be kidding me. Not now. I've just lost my house. Now, this is the power of intention and really defining who you need to be. The frustration, the pain, the anger. She managed to channel that energy and use it as a weapon. She went on to get the highest score in that round for the day. And not only that, she signified a specific word that would encapsulate that intention. And she went on to win that world title. Now, I'd love to tell you what that word is, but it's got currency still, and I reckon she's going to win an 8th world title. So if it's okay with you, I'll tell you when she retires. Is that a deal? Never has being a person of her word had so much power. Now, you don't have to be a world champion or an expert in anything, but to practice these simple leadership presence practices can have a tremendous effect on those around you. If they're anxious around you, they can be calm. If they're stuck on past mistakes around you, they're focused, energized. But I've got a question for you. You've gone through today, and I've been watching. I watch people, a bit like Darren, I watch people. And I've been seeing a lot of notes that have been taken down. So your to-do list from today is going to be pretty big. But here's the thing. Who do you need to be to follow through with them? What is the person that you need to evoke that's in you? Who do you need to be to follow through? So it's not just you being a human doing. You're being a human being and having a tremendous presence about you because of that. You're aligning with who you truly are. In the morning, it would be great to ask yourself that question before you step out of bed. Be where your feet are and allow that to come through. But I'm going to leave you with 3 simple words that are incredibly sexy that I'd love us all to just say out loud because I know it's going to lock in and you're going to be that person. Can you all join in with me on this last 3 powerful words that we're going to express? Are you ready? Out loud. Practice, practice, practice. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Super.